first book in the series.
Okay, so before I ask you about the first, so then do you want to ask the question first since I asked the question first last time? Okay, fine. I'll monopolize. So, now, according to your website, you are a medical doctor.
Yes, I am. Wow. That pays for this, by the way.
Yes.
Negative money.
That was going to exactly be my point.
I have sort of a follow-up question before you follow up on the medical exam. On Goodreads, you're a physician. On your website, you're a pathologist.
Yes.
So, live patient, dead patients?
No patients.
No patients.
Just like other authors, I prefer being in a cave by myself, talking to make-up characters for 8 hours a day. It's very related. Okay, so actually what I do, I have a microscope and I have slides, so biopsies, resections for usually cancer, and I give the diagnosis to the clinician who then knows how to treat the patients. I know in popular culture pathologists are equated with autopsy. I am trained to do autopsies, but very few of us in Quebec actually do it. We're predominantly in the workforce to diagnose cases for living patients. There you go. The pitch for the other side of my career.
I was going to have the song for Dr. Quincy in my head. It's pulling with you.
So you published this one by yourself.
Yes.
See, so she did the smart thing, which is she got the medical degree and the job first. Not like this dummy who went to school for writing and nothing else. So you're clapping, but you feel me. So since you did this late, were you always writing, or when did you decide that you wanted to write a book?
I've been writing since I was like 8 years old or so, and really it was like, I read the Box Price children's series. I don't know if anybody's heard of that.
Yeah,
we're nodding in the crowd, perfect. So I was like, this is so cool, I want to pretend to run away in a book. So I was writing like a spin-off series called Box Price Children, and that's how it started, when I was 8 years old. And then I got to Pokemon, so there was a lot of Pokemon fanfiction.
Oh my God! Are we getting into the Misty slash fiction over here? Is that what's happening?
No, I was really a fan of Richie. Like, I don't think people have heard of him anymore, but anyway, I really like this one side character, so I developed his story more. And then I got to like Golden Sun for Game Boy fans, so fanfiction for that classic. Zelda, everyone's heard that one. And then I stopped writing for a while because I was so busy to get into medical school. And I realized I needed to go back to that. Really is a form of self-therapy that was also free and you can like do in your head and nobody knows you're doing it in your head. You know, sitting in the hospital late at night, what are you thinking about? Well, I can medieval times. And in fact, I never meant to publish this book. It was because of the pandemic that I published it. So what interestingly happened was, maybe not so interesting, was that a lot of medical doctors had a lot of work in the pandemic, and then the other half, like me, had like literal work or no work, because my work relies on the ORs being open and having a specimen. So when nothing comes out of the OR, you have no work. I was like, well, I wrote 4 books, and they're actually originals, no longer fan fiction. Maybe I should publish it. So that's how it started.
I mean, you could do the fan fiction too. Sonia Blair did the fan fiction. Mercedes Lackey did the fan fiction. I'm just saying. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody starts in it. We all start in the fan fiction. Everybody who is, all the writers in the audience are going. Anybody who tells you differently is not an author and is lying to themselves. We all start with the fan fiction. But this is your original book.
Yes.
So now, this is it a romantasy or not?
Okay, so you have a question?
No, I'm so curious about what you think this is.
Okay, so I think it is romantasy, but without magic. And so you're like, but it's fantasy. Yeah, so fantasy is very broad, and there's a sub-branch of fantasy called alternative history, which is still fantasy because it's not real. So alternative history is like, what if Hitler won the war? What if the Black Death actually didn't kill Europeans, and so on and so forth? How could we have deviated from actual history? So the historical fiction purists hate this book because they thought history.
Purists, they bother me.
I originally marketed this as historical fiction. I learned the hard way. Okay, like just bad reviews.
The
This is not historical fiction, 2 stars at the end of the story.
The technical term is historiographic metafiction, in that it's historical, but it could happen.
Exactly.
Yes. So, but whenever I hear people saying things like, "Oh, this didn't really happen," like historical fiction, that's the point of the fiction, is that you take an event or a time period and then you fictionalize it. That's the point. So when you see, the mites on Goodreads writing things like, "Oh, I didn't like it because this event didn't really happen." I know. It's fine. That's the point. We're learning together.
So to me, it's still romantic.
So you think it is romantasy? Do you think it's actually historiographic metafiction, or do you think that it's alternate universe?
I prefer thinking it's alternate universe.
Okay.
So the alternate part is being Chinese. I've been looking into gunpowder history. I forget why. That's been really boring. Anyway, so I learned that gunpowder existed in China for like 250 years before it was used in Europe. And it was originally described as gunpowder, like fully formed gunpowder. In China, it started out as a quest of elixir of life. That didn't work out well. Something exploded. They're like, oh, but that could have been useful too. So it came out, and it literally means fire medicine because they're still trying to make something healthy out of it.
But it came out of the discovery of saltpeter. And saltpeter was used for medicine and still is for certain things today. But then they discovered, ooh, saltpeter's flammable.
Yes, but originally we didn't use it to kill people. We actually used it for Chinese New Year. You know, those exploding dynamite cords. And it was like supposed to ward off evil spirits. But eventually, yes, they figured out it killed people. The point is, China had this for 200 years. They were killing each other in massive civil wars, had factories producing thousands of firearms and prototypes. Meanwhile, the Vikings were raiding Europe without this. And the Silk Road was going down to Rome, which, the Romans loved silk. And basically the Normans conquered parts of Sicily, like Italy, and then they conquered England within the same decades. And gunpowder never made it.
Dummies.
So what if it did make it? William the Conqueror would have faced a lot of problems because he conquered England, actually made English what it is now. There's so many words in common in French because of that too, by the way. And he faced rebellions for the rest of his life. And these English rebels, had they had gunpowder, I think it would have been very difficult. So this is alternative history exploring what would happen if gunpowder actually made it through the Silk Road around the time.
And so what's the...
Non, j'allais dire, mais c'est très, je pose la question en français, c'est très, très, très proche des vrais événements. Les années sont bonnes. La France, l'Angleterre est conquise par les Normands qui sont des anciens vikings en 1066. Ironiquement, la même année, ils sont aussi attaqués par des vrais vikings. Cette fois-là, les Anglais gagnent. Mais l'occupation, après ça, dure longtemps. Les Normands, c'est des anciens vikings, ça vient de Northmen. La Normandie. So, I mean, the place names are real, the way people live is real, the history, more or less, is real.
No, it's not. The person on Goodreads said so.
But I mean...
So I thought marking this as historical fiction. This is the whole thing.
But it's good though. Get them to fight in the comments. Boost the algorithm.
But it is very historical fiction.
With a very purposeful deviation.
Yeah.
So that's what makes alternative history.
It's also young adult.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's got a really, really cool slow burn romance.
I feel like somebody's on a website.
No, I'm reading the prequel to this.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
It's really good.
Thank you. And I know it is for young adults, but the reason I market it this way is because I want my daughter to feel comfortable reading with it. She's not that good. The other thing is, there's actually a lot of adults looking for young adult reads because they don't want hard sex, gore, violence, darker issues to really escape. So almost by default, the book becomes young adult. But I don't want anybody to think young adult is but it's for 5-year-olds or No, there's actually very deep themes like exploring adult literature, but without the.
Well, I think
Extreme
80%
stuff.
of young adult readers are involved. But
Actually, they are.
And I mean, it's not, it's cleaner than like some adult gory stuff, but it's very, I mean, it's dark at times. There's death and there's famine and there's violence and there's war.
Yeah, this is very important. This is very important. It actually follows a healer, so a little bit of me plugged into there. I couldn't get. I mean, being modern doctor, there's so many things they die of now. Back then, you're just like, oh, but just take vitamin C. Scurvy. Take an orange. But no, they didn't, because they didn't know. Scurvy and glaucoma. Oh no. You would die with appendicitis.
The gout.
Gout, childbirth, all those terrible things. So I was like, but what if I can put a little bit of medical knowledge into one protagonist and she can help people? So this is how it started. So the protagonist is a healer, but she's just no regular peasant. And that is something I also did purposefully because I think a lot of medieval historical fiction focuses on kings and queens and all the royalty. Nothing wrong with that, but there were like hundreds of thousands of peasants without their names ever being mentioned in historical records. So what were they doing? And this is her reaction to rebellion.
It reminds me of, I'm probably the Apothecary Diaries. There's a manga and it's the same thing where it's a young healer and he gets put into the royal court, but it's not about the royal court, it's about her and her healing and what she does. That's great. So this is the first one, and then the second one follows the same characters.
It doesn't exist. This was my next question.
I'm writing it right now. That one is.
I've seen pictures.
That one is a prequel.
That's what I'm reading right now. Because I thought it's a prequel, I must read it prequel-y.
That's fine.
So
I
You can
started
start
with
this
that.
one or read the prequel. And actually, the prequel was like an unplanned baby. I wasn't gonna write it. Sometimes a character just comes to your head and he's like, "Leave me alone." Like I want my story told, girl. Like I was the best friend of this person, and you don't put me in this book, so write me a book. So his name is Alfred. He's the protagonist of the other book. I wrote it second, but it takes place before that one.
Yeah, so it's a younger, the element is a younger version
Yeah,
of the main
5 years
character in
before
that
that
5 years before that one.
Yeah.
Okay, but, because, why? I mean, like, because presumably after writing book 1, you think, like, the next step would be writing book 2.
No.
But,
Like I said, unplanned.
but I mean, it's not like a novella or a short
It was
story,
supposed to be.
it's huge.
It was actually attempt number 3 to write a novella. I can't write short stuff. I mean, that one was short enough. 250 pages is
That's
short.
standard size.
For fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy. Yeah.
So, but you're going to be putting out the next one yourself also.
Yes, that one is 60,000 words long.
Good.
People are like, how many pages is that? I don't know.
About 60,000 is about 250.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But no, make it longer. You can do whatever you want when you self-publish.
It is true. I have a blog page about how people can do that.
Amazing. Anything. So when is that one coming out?
That one I'm aiming for next spring.
Okay. Good. Fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. You can get all of Kyrie's books are over there at Saga. That's you.
Less than $20 each.
Get them while they're hot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.